Kim Jae-woo walked slowly down the long corridor of Centauri Station, his black diplomatic uniform clean and pressed despite the 3-day journey from Earth. Behind him followed Park So-min, her military dress uniform bearing the insignia of a senior advisor, and Lee Tae-ho, whose scientist robes marked him as one of humanity's top researchers. The corridor stretched ahead of them like a tunnel, its walls made of some alien metal that seemed to shift colors as they moved. Other beings filled the hallway around them. Tall Vorthak warriors stomped past in their heavy armor, their arms swinging as they walked. The gray-skinned Nexari glided by on their floating platforms, their large black eyes never blinking as they stared at the humans. Ancient Eldari moved like living shadows, their robes hiding most of their thin bodies except for their pale hands. Kim had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 7 years. He had attended hundreds of meetings, signed dozens of trade agreements, and shaken hands with aliens from across the galaxy. Today felt different. Today felt like an ending. The main council chamber opened before them like a vast cave. The ceiling rose so high that Kim could barely see it in the dim light. 3 massive sections held the alien delegations. The Vorthak sat in chairs that looked more like thrones, each one big enough to hold their huge bodies. The Nexari floated, in formation, their platforms arranged in perfect geometric patterns. The Eldari stood in a circle, never moving, never speaking unless spoken to. In the center of the room sat 3 small chairs, human chairs. They looked tiny compared to everything else in the chamber. Kim took his seat and placed his hands flat on the table in front of him. Park sat to his right, her eyes scanning the room like a soldier watching for threats. Lee sat to his left, a small device in his hand that he pretended to ignore. Vorthak Commander Thektar stood first. His voice boomed across the chamber like thunder. The humans have called this meeting to discuss their demands. We find these demands amusing. Nexari Prime Node. Velthara's voice came from speakers around the room, cold and calculated. Humanity seeks equal representation in galactic affairs. Our analysis shows this would be inefficient. Humans contribute 12% of galactic military power and 23% of economic output. Equal representation would create imbalance. Eldari speaker. Zontek finally moved, raising one pale hand. We have seen many young species make similar requests. The Corvani made such demands 2,000 years ago. The Zethari demanded equality 1/500 years past. The Morlach insisted on representation 800 years ago. All learned their proper place in time. Kim felt his jaw tighten but kept his voice steady. Earth requests equal voting rights in the Council, access to restricted hyperspace lanes for trade, and recognition of human territorial sovereignty in the Outer Rim systems. Thektar laughed, a sound like metal grinding against stone. Territorial sovereignty. Humans barely understand the technology that powers their own ships. Your weapons are crude copies of Vorthak designs from centuries ago. Your ships move through space like wounded animals compared to our vessels. Your request for hyperspace access cannot be granted, Velthara's voice continued without emotion. Human navigation systems have a 12% error rate in restricted lanes. This creates unacceptable risk to other traffic. Additionally, your trade vessels carry primitive scanning equipment that cannot detect hazards our sensors identify easily. Zontek spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of millennia. Young species always believe they deserve more than they have earned. We offer you protection under our guidance. Accept tributary status under the Vorthak Empire. Allow Nexari oversight of your trade operations. Submit your territorial claims to Eldari review. These are generous terms. Park's hand moved slightly toward the weapon at her side, but Kim caught her eye and shook his head once. Lee continued to fidget with his device, seeming nervous and distracted. We came here seeking partnership, Kim said carefully. We offer our knowledge, our resources, our friendship. In return, we ask only to be treated as equals among the galactic community. Thektar's 4 arms gestured dismissively. Partnership? What could humans possibly offer that we do not already possess? Your technology is primitive. Your military is weak. Your science is laughable. You have discovered nothing that we have not known for thousands of years. Your proposal lacks logical foundation, Velthara added. Partnership requires equal contribution. Human capabilities do not justify equal status. However, we recognize human potential as a labor force. We propose alternative arrangements. The Nexari Prime Node's next words sent ice through Kim's veins. Humans show aptitude for detailed work and following instructions. Vorthak military. Campaigns require support personnel. Nexari trade operations need workers who can adapt to various environments. Eldari research projects need assistants who can handle routine tasks. Zonthek nodded slowly. This would be most efficient. Humans would provide services needed by superior species. In exchange, you would receive protection, technology, and guidance. Many species have found such arrangements beneficial. Kim stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. The sound echoed in the vast chamber like a gunshot. You are offering us slavery. We offer you purpose, Thektar replied. Humans are not equipped for leadership. Your species is too young, too emotional, too unpredictable. But you would make excellent servants. You follow orders well when properly motivated. Park's face had gone pale with anger. Lee had stopped fidgeting and now sat perfectly still, his device hidden in his palm. Around the chamber, alien delegates watched the humans with expressions, ranging from amusement to boredom. Kim felt something snap inside his chest, like a wire stretched too tight finally breaking. 7 years of diplomatic patience, 7 years of careful words and measured responses, 7 years of swallowing insults and accepting scraps, all of it burning away in a single moment of crystal clarity. We came here in good faith, he said, his voice quiet but somehow filling the enormous room. We brought offers of friendship, of cooperation, of mutual benefit. We have been patient. We have been reasonable. We have been respectful. He paused and looked directly at each alien delegation in turn. You have given us your answer. You see us as servants, as workers, as tools to be used by your superior civilizations. You believe we should be grateful for the opportunity to serve our betters. Kim reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device, similar to the one Lee carried. He placed it on the table in front of him and pressed a single button. A hologram appeared in the air above it, showing the official seal of Earth's government. I am authorized by the United Earth Government to make you a counteroffer, Kim continued. You have 48 hours to reconsider your position. 48 hours to recognize humanity as an equal partner in galactic affairs. 48 hours to grant us the rights and respect we have requested. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of alien technology. Even Thektar had stopped laughing. And if we refuse? Velthara asked, her voice sharp with curiosity. Kim smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a pleasant smile. Then we withdraw from all galactic treaties, all trade agreements, all diplomatic relations. We consider our relationship with the Galactic Council concluded. He gestured to Park and Lee, who stood immediately. 48 hours, honored delegates. We suggest you use them wisely. As they walked toward the exit, Thektar's laughter followed them. You threaten us? You think you can survive without the protection of the Council? The galaxy is vast and dangerous, little humans. You will come crawling back within a year, begging for forgiveness. Kim paused at the doorway and looked back one final time. We shall see. The 3 humans left the chamber, their footsteps echoing in the corridor beyond. Behind them, the alien delegates began to discuss the amusing display they had just witnessed. None of them noticed that Lee's device had been recording everything. None of them realized that the biological scans it had taken would soon change everything. None of them understood that they had just made the greatest mistake in galactic history. Captain Choi Sang-wook read the message 3 times before he believed what he was seeing. The words glowed on his command screen in the bridge of the UES Incheon, each letter burning itself into his memory. Operation Homecoming is a go. Repeat. Operation Homecoming is a go. All units proceed immediately. He had known this day might come. Every human ship captain in the galaxy had received sealed orders months ago, locked away in secure files that could only be opened with a specific code. Now that code had arrived, and Choi felt his stomach twist as he realized what it meant. Commander. Park! He called to his second officer. "Signal all department heads. Emergency meeting in conference room Alpha in 10 minutes. Across human space, identical scenes played out on hundreds of ships and thousands of colonies. Admiral Song Hye-jin stood in the command center of Starbase Pacific, watching as similar messages appeared on screens throughout her facility. Her staff looked at her with questions in their eyes, but she simply nodded once and began issuing orders. "Begin immediate evacuation of all civilian populations from contested systems," she announced. "Priority Alpha, no delays, no exceptions." On New Sol Colony, Governor Kang Min-ho walked onto the main broadcast platform in the planetary capital. 2.5 million people lived on New Sol, making it one of the largest human settlements outside Earth's solar system. They deserved to hear the news from him personally. "Citizens of New Sol," he began, his voice carrying across the city through thousands of speakers. "I have received orders from Earth Command. We are going home, all of us. Within 30 days, this colony will be completely evacuated." The crowd that had gathered in the plaza below began to murmur, their voices rising in confusion and concern. Kang raised his hand for silence. "I know you have questions. I know this seems sudden. But these orders come directly from the highest levels of Earth government. Every human colony outside our core systems is being evacuated. We are leaving nothing behind for those who saw us only as servants." Engineer Lim Dong-soo received his orders while standing knee-deep in the power core of a fusion reactor on Kepler Station. The message appeared on his work tablet, and he read it twice before shutting down the reactor completely. Around him, his team looked confused as the lights dimmed and backup power kicked in. "Sir?" asked his assistant. "What's happening?" "We're taking it all apart," Lim said simply. "Every piece of equipment, every component, every scrap of metal. If it's human-made, it comes with us. If it's useful to humans, it comes with us. If it might be valuable to aliens, we destroy it." The scale of Operation Homecoming became clear within hours. Every human merchant ship in alien space began heading toward the nearest human outpost. Every human worker on alien stations submitted resignation notices. Every human scientist in joint research projects packed their equipment and deleted their files. Nexari intelligence operator Zixvel noticed the pattern first. Her monitoring station tracked ship movements throughout the galaxy, and the sudden shift in human traffic caught her attention immediately. Human vessels that normally followed dozens of different trade routes were all moving in the same direction, toward human space. "This appears to be more than normal commercial activity," she reported to her superiors. "Human ship movements show coordinated pattern. Probability of random occurrence, less than 0.001%. But even Zixvel did not understand the true scope of what she was witnessing. On planets throughout the galaxy, human communities that had existed for decades were packing up and leaving. Not just contested worlds where tensions ran high, but peaceful settlements that had never seen conflict. Director Osu Jin sat in a hidden facility beneath the surface of Titan, Saturn's largest moon. For 5 years, she had been building a network of monitoring devices throughout alien space. Every diplomatic mission had carried them. Every trade ship had deployed them. Every human worker on alien stations had installed them in secret. Now those devices activated, sending streams of data back to Earth about alien military positions, economic activities, and private communications. The aliens had trusted humans with access to their facilities. That trust was about to cost them dearly. Merchant Captain Nam Gi-tae made his final run through Vorthak space, his cargo ship loaded with more than trade goods. In the hidden compartments of his vessel, industrial fabricators and manufacturing equipment waited to be smuggled back to human territory. His manifest listed food and luxury items, but his real cargo would help establish new production facilities in human space. "Tower control. This is merchant vessel Busan requesting departure." "Clearance," he said into his communication system. "Clearance granted, Busan," came the reply from the Vorthak Port Authority. "Safe travels, human." Nam almost laughed at the irony. Safe travels indeed. This would be the last time any human ship requested clearance from a Vorthak station. The Vorthak leadership noticed the evacuation, but interpreted it as a negotiating tactic. Commander Thektar met with his advisors in the war room of his flagship, studying reports of human activity. They believe this display will frighten us into granting their demands, he told his staff. Let them leave their outer colonies. We will simply claim those worlds for the Empire when they abandon them. Nexari economic analysts began calculating the benefits of absorbing human trade routes and commercial operations. Their computers projected significant improvements to efficiency once human inefficiencies were removed from galactic commerce. The Eldari dismissed the entire situation as another example of young species' emotional decision-making. They had seen similar behavior from other races throughout their long history. The humans would return when reality forced them to accept their proper place. None of the alien species noticed the more subtle signs of what was happening. Deep space monitoring stations that had operated for years suddenly went silent. Communication relays that humans had helped build stopped responding to status requests. Mining operations in asteroid fields became mysteriously inactive. Captain Zhongwu Sung commanded the deep space research vessel Sejong, which had been exploring the galaxy's outer rim for 3 years. When he received his evacuation orders, he was 40,000 light-years from the nearest human settlement. His ship was equipped with experimental long-range communication equipment that let him send messages across vast distances. "Earth Command, this is Sejong," he transmitted. "Orders received and understood. Beginning return journey immediately. Estimated arrival time, 14 months. What Earth Command did not tell him was that his ship's route would take him through territory controlled by an unknown species called the Korathi. What they also did not tell him was that humans had been in secret contact with the Korathi for over 2 years. Lieutenant Bei Yuna monitored the first automated defense platforms that humans had secretly installed in deep space. Her job was to watch for alien scouts who might try to follow the evacuation routes back to human territory. The defense systems she controlled used technology that the Galactic Council had never seen. Multiple contacts approaching checkpoint. "Alpha," she reported to her supervisor. 3 Vorthak scout ships attempting to follow evacuation convoy 7. "Response authorized," came the reply. Bay activated the defense systems, and the alien scouts found themselves facing weapons that made no sense. Their ship's computers could not identify the energy signatures. Their sensors could not lock onto targets that seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. After 10 minutes of futile attempts to understand what they were facing, the Vorthak scouts retreated. On Earth, President Hong Jin-soo met with his military commanders in the situation room deep beneath the government complex. Holographic displays showed the progress of evacuations across the galaxy. Green lights indicated completed evacuations. Yellow lights showed operations in progress. Red lights marked locations where problems had developed. "How long until all our people are safely back in human space?" he asked. 8 months for complete evacuation," Admiral Lee Young-ju replied. "But the core populations will be secure within 6 weeks. And the aliens still think this is a negotiating tactic? Intelligence reports suggest they are planning to divide our abandoned territories among themselves," the Admiral confirmed. "They believe they have called our bluff," President Hong smiled grimly. "Good. Let them believe that. The longer they remain confident, the more time we have to prepare." As ships full of evacuated humans headed toward Earth and her sister colonies, they carried more than just refugees. They carried detailed intelligence about alien technology, copies of research data from joint projects, and most importantly, the biological and technological weaknesses that Dr. Yoon-mi Ra had discovered during years of diplomatic contact. The greatest movement of human beings in history was underway, and the galaxy's other species saw it only as the temper tantrum of a lesser race. They had no idea that they were watching the retreat of a military force that had been secretly preparing for this moment for decades. They did not understand that humanity's apparent weakness had been carefully maintained to hide their true capabilities. In 6 months, the galaxy would be a very different place. Vorthak Admiral Goreknul stood on the bridge of his flagship as it entered orbit around what had once been called New Busan Colony. 6 months had passed since the humans had begun their exodus, and the Vorthak Empire was ready to claim its first prize. The planet below looked peaceful and green, its cities visible from space like jewels scattered across the continents. "Admiral, we are receiving no communications from the surface," reported his communications officer. "No response to our hails." "Of course not," Goreknul replied. The humans have abandoned this world. Send down landing parties to secure the major population centers. I want full reports on what they left behind. The first shuttles descended through the atmosphere toward New Busan's capital city. The pilots expected to find a ghost town, empty buildings waiting to be claimed. What they found instead made no sense. "Admiral," came the voice of landing party commander Vector. "You need to see this." The main viewer on the bridge flickered to life, showing images from the planet's surface. The city of New Busan stretched out before the cameras, its towers and structures intact but completely hollow. Every building stood like an empty shell. Streets were clean and undamaged, but utterly lifeless. "Where is everything?" Goreknul asked. "Gone, sir. Not just the people. Everything. Furniture, equipment, vehicles, even the wiring from the walls. They took it all." The Admiral stared at the screen in disbelief. "Show me the industrial sector." The cameras panned across the manufacturing district, where New Busan's factories had once operated. Every building remained standing, but their interiors had been stripped bare. Production equipment, raw materials, even the metal fixtures had been removed. The humans had left behind empty concrete shells and nothing more. "Check the spaceport," Goreknul ordered. The images shifted to show New Busan's main spaceport. The runways were intact, but the control towers stood empty. Maintenance hangars gaped open like mouths with no teeth. Even the landing lights had been removed from their mountings. "Admiral," Vector's voice carried a note of confusion. "We found something strange in the residential district." The screen showed a typical human neighborhood, houses arranged along tree-lined streets. But every house was the same, walls standing, roofs intact, foundations solid, but completely empty inside. Not just of people or furniture, but of everything. That made them homes. Light fixtures, plumbing, even electrical outlets had been carefully removed. "They took everything that could be moved," Vector reported, "and destroyed everything that could not. We found the remains of industrial equipment that was too large to transport. They melted it down to slag rather than leave it functional." Across the galaxy, similar discoveries were being made on dozens of worlds. The Nexari had claimed 3 former human colonies in their sector, only to find them stripped as bare as New Busan. The Eldari had taken possession of research stations that contained nothing but empty rooms and disconnected power systems. Nexari. Economic analyst Morthex presented his report to the collective with growing alarm in his synthesized voice. "The economic impact of human withdrawal exceeds all projections. Human trade represented 34% of galactic commerce, not the 23% we calculated. Their supply chains supported industries across multiple sectors." "Explain," demanded Prime Node Velthera. "Rare Earth elements essential for hyperspace. Drive manufacturing came primarily from human mining operations. Without these materials, drive production has decreased by 78%. Additionally, human manufacturing provided components for Nexari computing systems. Our production efficiency has dropped 45% in affected areas." The numbers kept getting worse. Human agricultural exports had fed populations on dozens of worlds. Human transportation services had moved goods between systems that now struggled to maintain trade connections. Human technology services had maintained equipment that was now breaking down without replacement parts. "Most concerning," Morthex continued, "is the discovery that human merchant vessels provided essential services throughout the galaxy. Communication relay maintenance, navigation beacon updates, emergency rescue operations, these services have ceased entirely. Dr. Han Seok-jin sat in his laboratory aboard the research vessel Hawking, positioned at the very edge of the galaxy. His ship was the last human presence in galactic space, and it would not remain much longer. But before he departed, he had one final gift for the aliens who had dismissed human science as primitive. Computer, begin transmission of research file. Omega to all galactic communication networks, he commanded. Transmission beginning, the computer replied. Estimated delivery time to all major systems, 72 hours. The research file that Han transmitted contained the culmination of 20 years of scientific work. Every biological scan taken during diplomatic meetings. Every technological analysis performed on alien equipment. Every weakness and vulnerability that human science had discovered. The Vorthak learned that their immune systems had a fatal flaw that could be exploited with specific biological agents. The Nexari discovered that their quantum computing networks contained backdoors that humans had secretly installed during joint technology projects. The Eldari found out that their ancient technology relied on principles that humans had not only understood, but had already surpassed. "This is impossible," declared Vorthak chief scientist Morgoth as he reviewed the data. "Humans do not possess the knowledge to conduct these analyses." But the evidence was undeniable. The research was thorough, detailed, and accurate. Humans had been studying their alien partners for decades, learning their secrets while pretending to be inferior. Captain Zhong Wu-sung made contact with the Karathi at coordinates that had been provided in his sealed orders. The meeting took place in a nebula where sensor sweeps could not detect their ships. The Karathi vessel that approached the Sejong was unlike anything in the known galaxy. "Greetings, Captain Zhong," came the voice over his communications system. The translation was perfect, suggesting the Karathi had been studying human language for some time. "We have been expecting you." "You have?" Zhong asked, surprised. "Humanity contacted us 3 years ago through intermediaries. We have been observing galactic politics with great interest. The Galactic Council's treatment of your species has been most educational." Zhong felt his understanding of the situation shift. "You knew this was going to happen." "We suspected. The pattern is common among elder species. They become comfortable with dominance and blind to change. They did not recognize that humanity was never as weak as you appeared." Eldari historian. Thelvana made a disturbing discovery while researching humanity's departure from galactic affairs. She had been reviewing historical records, looking for precedents that might explain human behavior. What she found in the archives made her question everything she thought she knew about galactic history. "Speaker Zonthek," she called to her superior. "I require immediate consultation." The speaker materialized in her research chamber, his robes flowing around him like shadows. "What have you discovered?" The pattern of younger species challenging galactic order. "I have been reviewing the records of the Korvani, the Zethari, the Morlach, all the species mentioned during the recent negotiations." "Yes, all learned their proper place." "No," Thelvana said quietly. "All were eliminated. Completely. There are no Korvani left anywhere in the galaxy. The Zethari homeworld is a dead rock. The Morlach exist only in our historical files." Zonthek went very still. "Your point? Humanity has done something unprecedented. When faced with the choice between submission and destruction, they chose a third option. They left. They removed themselves entirely from the equation." Lieutenant Bei Yuna watched from her monitoring station as the first alien expeditions reached the edges of human space. Vorthak scout ships probed the outer defense perimeters, trying to locate human colonies. Nexari survey vessels attempted to map human territory. Eldari exploration craft searched for signs of human weakness. All of them encountered the same thing: automated defense platforms that defied understanding. The technology was clearly human in origin, but it operated on principles that alien science could not explain. Energy weapons that seemed to bend space-time. Shield systems that made targets partially invisible to sensors. Propulsion methods that allowed unmanned platforms to appear and disappear at will. "Unidentified vessels, you are entering restricted space," Bay transmitted to a Vorthak scout group. "Turn back immediately or face defensive action." "Human vessel. We do not recognize your authority in this region," came the arrogant reply. "Withdraw your inferior technology or be destroyed." Bay sighed and activated the defense systems. The alien scouts found themselves facing weapons that made their own armaments look like toys. After 30 minutes of ineffective attacks against targets they could barely see, the Vorthak retreated in confusion. Trader Vashatel of the Nexari Collective discovered the true scope of the economic disaster when his cargo ship suffered a hyperspace drive failure in the Kepler system. The components needed for repair had always been readily available from human suppliers. Now, with humanity gone, the nearest replacement parts were 3 months away. "This is intolerable," he transmitted to Nexari Command. "Human withdrawal has created critical supply shortages throughout the trading networks." Vorthak, War Prime. Zethnok slammed his 4 fists on the council table, causing the metal surface to dent under the impact. Around him, the greatest military minds of 3 civilizations studied holographic displays showing the current state of galactic affairs. 2 years had passed since humanity's exodus, and the situation had become intolerable. "Enough!" Zethnok roared. "Every day we wait, our economies crumble further. Our people grow hungrier. Our technology breaks down without human-manufactured components. This madness ends now. Nexari Strategic Coordinator." Thexavel's synthesized voice filled the war room. "Military action carries significant risk. Human defensive capabilities remain unknown. Our intelligence-gathering attempts have failed consistently, because they have been cowardly attempts," Zethnok replied. "Scout ships and probe missions accomplish nothing. The humans hide behind their automated defenses and refuse to engage in proper combat. But they cannot hide from the combined might of our 3 empires." Eldari war sage Nethvol spoke from the shadows at the edge of the room. "The historical precedent suggests caution. No species has ever voluntarily withdrawn from galactic civilization as completely as humanity has done. This suggests preparation we do not understand." "Preparation for what?" Zethnok demanded. "They are one species, isolated in a small region of space. We represent 3 of the most powerful civilizations in galactic history. Our combined fleets number in the tens of thousands. What preparation could possibly protect them from such overwhelming force?" The War Prime gestured to the tactical displays surrounding them. "The Vorthak Empire contributes 12,000 warships. The Nexari Collective provides 8,000 vessels with advanced computing and sensor systems. The Eldari offer 3,000 ships equipped with ancient weapons of terrible power. This is the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history." Thexvel's calculations appeared on the screens around them. "Probability of human military. Resistance, 67%. Probability of successful campaign given numerical superiority, 94%. Probability of acceptable casualties, 78%. See?" Zethnok said. "Even Nexari mathematics confirms what warrior instinct already knows. Numbers matter, technology matters, experience matters. We possess all 3 advantages." General Ryu Jae-sung stood in the command center of Terra Defense Command, watching as alien fleets massed at the edge of human space. Hidden sensor networks that Director Oh Soo-jin had spent years installing provided detailed intelligence about enemy movements. The aliens were being remarkably obvious about their intentions. "Admiral Im," Ryu called to his fleet commander. "What is our current defensive posture?" Admiral Im Dong-hyun studied the tactical displays showing human defensive positions. "All defense platforms are active and ready. Home fleet is positioned in standard formation around Earth. Colonial defense forces are at maximum readiness throughout human space. And our special preparations?" "Dr. Kwan's weapons are calibrated and tested. Captain Yu's new ships have completed final shakedown cruises. All units are equipped with the technology packages Dr. Shin's team developed." Ryu nodded grimly. The aliens had no idea what they were about to face. For 2 decades, humanity had been secretly developing military technology that surpassed anything in the known galaxy. The polite, peaceful humans who had attended diplomatic meetings and signed trade agreements had been carefully hiding their true capabilities. Chief Engineer Shin Bo-ra made final adjustments to the defensive systems that would protect Earth during the coming battle. Her work combined human innovation with detailed knowledge of alien weaknesses that Dr. Yoon Mi-ra had discovered during years of diplomatic contact. Every weapon had been precisely calibrated to exploit specific vulnerabilities in alien technology and biology. "The shield generators are operating at 110% of design specifications," she reported to General Ryu. "The weapons platforms show green across all systems. Our defensive networks are ready for deployment." "And the offensive capabilities?" "All ships have been equipped with the new weapons packages. The aliens will find our technology significantly different from what they expect." The alien armada that jumped into the Sol system was indeed the largest military force in galactic history. 23,000 warships of 3 different civilizations, their weapons charged and their crews ready for battle. They had come to drag humanity back to its proper place in galactic society by force if necessary. What they found waiting for them made no sense. Admiral Im Dong-hyun's defensive fleet numbered fewer than 3,000 ships, but the vessels themselves defied alien understanding. Human ships that had once seemed crude and primitive now moved through space with impossible grace and speed. Their energy signatures showed weapon systems that alien sensors could not identify. "Human fleet, this is War Prime Zethnok of the Vorthak Empire," came the transmission across all frequencies. "You will stand down immediately and prepare to surrender your worlds to proper authority. Resistance will be met with total destruction." Admiral Im's response was broadcast on the same frequency, reaching every ship in both fleets. "Alien vessels, you are trespassing in human space. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal, or you will be fired upon." Zethnok's laughter echoed across the communication channels. 30 seconds? You face 23,000 ships with barely 3,000 of your own. Even human mathematics should make this outcome obvious. 29 seconds, Im replied calmly. The battle that followed would be remembered as the most one-sided engagement in galactic military history. Human weapons that had been secretly developed for decades revealed themselves in a storm of directed energy that alien defenses could not stop. Shields that had protected alien ships for centuries collapsed under the impact of weapons designed specifically to counter them. Captain Yu Sung-min led the first wave of human fighters in an attack pattern that Vorthak tactical computers could not predict. His pilots flew ships that moved faster than alien sensors could track, using propulsion technology that bent space-time around their vessels. They struck at precise points where Dr. Kwan's research had identified critical weaknesses in alien ship design. "Target their primary power coupling," Yu instructed his squadron. "Hit them exactly 4 meters behind the main weapon array. Their shields cannot protect that junction." The Vorthak flagship, Zethnok's pride and joy, took 12 direct hits in the space of 30 seconds. Its massive armor plating, proof against any known weapon, cracked and split under the impact of human energy beams. The ship's power systems failed in cascading overloads that left it dead in space. Nexari vessels fared no better. Their quantum computing networks, which had made them the galaxy's premier information warriors, suddenly found themselves fighting against countermeasures they could not understand. Human ships appeared and disappeared on their sensors like ghosts, striking from impossible angles before vanishing again. Strategic Coordinator Thexvel watched her carefully calculated battle. Plans collapse in real time. This outcome was not predicted. Human technological capabilities exceed all analysis. Probability of mission success has dropped below acceptable parameters. Commander An Ye-jin led her fighter wing against a formation of Eldari vessels, their ancient weapons charging for a devastating attack. But the weapons never fired. Human jammers, built with intimate knowledge of Eldari technology, disrupted their targeting systems at the precise moment they attempted to engage. Eldari ships neutralized, she reported to Admiral Im. Their weapons cannot lock onto our fighters. The ancient Eldari, who had dominated the galaxy for millennia, found their technology useless against opponents who understood it better than they did themselves. Weapons that had destroyed civilizations failed to function. Shields that had protected them for thousands of years offered no defense against human attacks. President Hong Jin-soo watched the battle from the command center beneath Seoul, his face grim as reports flooded in from the front lines. The aliens had forced this confrontation, but he took no pleasure in the destruction of their fleets. "Admiral Im, what is our current status?" he asked. "Minimal casualties on our side, Mr. President. The alien fleet is in complete disarray. Estimate 60% of their ships disabled or destroyed. The remainder are attempting to withdraw." "Let them go," Hong ordered. "But make sure they understand what they have seen here today." Admiral Im's final transmission to the retreating alien forces carried a message that would echo throughout the galaxy. "You came here believing humans were weak and primitive. You have learned otherwise. Consider this a demonstration of what we are capable of when forced to defend ourselves." Dr. Kwan Haiwan reviewed the battle data from her laboratory on Luna Station. Her weapons had performed exactly as designed, exploiting every weakness that years of diplomatic contact had revealed. The aliens had trusted humans with access to their technology, their biology, their military procedures. That trust had cost them everything. "Final battle assessment," she reported to President Hong. "Enemy casualties, 14,847 ships destroyed, 8,234 disabled. Friendly casualties, 23 ships with minor damage, no losses. The numbers told a story that would reshape galactic civilization. The primitive humans had not only defeated the largest military force in history, Emperor Jin Hosek stood before the vast windows of the Imperial Palace on Earth, looking out at a planet that had become the center of a new galactic order. 6 months had passed since the battle that shattered 3 civilizations, and the galaxy was learning to adjust to new realities. The former president had accepted the crown offered by a grateful humanity, understanding that the galaxy respected strength and hierarchy above all else. "Your Majesty," Admiral Li Youngju approached from behind, her footsteps echoing in the throne room. "The Vorthak delegation has arrived for the surrender ceremony." Jin turned from the window, his expression calm but firm. "And their response to our terms?" "Complete acceptance, Your Majesty. War Prime Zethnok has agreed to all conditions. Vorthak military forces will be disbanded. Their worlds will accept human governors. Their population will be relocated to designated systems under our supervision." "Good. What about the others?" "The Nexari Collective has requested permission to integrate their technology networks with our systems. They offer to share all scientific data in exchange for continued existence. The Eldari have submitted to complete vassalage. They consider humanity to be the rightful inheritors of galactic leadership." Jin nodded slowly. The transformation had been faster than anyone had expected. Once the galaxy's other species realized that humanity possessed overwhelming technological superiority, resistance had crumbled quickly. Most chose submission over extinction. Fleet Admiral Li had spent the past months overseeing the methodical conquest of alien space. It was not the brutal subjugation that the aliens might have expected, but rather a careful restructuring of galactic civilization under human leadership. Species that submitted willingly were treated with respect. Those that resisted faced the full might of human military technology. "The Rigelian systems have requested annexation," Li reported. "They wish to become a human protectorate rather than risk conflict." "Approved." "What about the Outer Rim territories?" "Most independent worlds have declared loyalty to the Empire. The few holdouts are isolated systems with minimal strategic value. They pose no threat. Governor Park Ji-woo administered the first human zone in former Vorthak space from his headquarters on Kepler Prime. The transition had been surprisingly smooth once the alien population understood that human rule meant order, prosperity, and protection, rather than oppression. "The Vorthak workers have adapted well to our management systems," he reported during his weekly communication with Earth. "Productivity in the mining sectors has increased 34% since we took control. Their previous leadership was remarkably inefficient." "Any resistance movements?" asked the voice from Earth. "None of significance. The Vorthak respect strength, and they have seen our strength demonstrated. They follow orders efficiently when those orders come from proven superiors." The Vorthak had discovered that humans were far more competent administrators than their own leaders had been. Human technology solved problems that had plagued Vorthak society for centuries. Human medical knowledge extended Vorthak lifespans. Human agricultural techniques ended food shortages that had existed for generations. Dr. Kim Yoon-ji led the scientific missions that began uplifting cooperative alien species, sharing human technology with those who had earned it through loyalty and service. Her research station orbited the former Nexari homeworld, where she worked with alien scientists who had embraced their new position in the galactic hierarchy. "The Nexari are remarkably adaptable," she noted in her research logs. "Their quantum computing expertise, when properly directed, has accelerated our own technological development by decades. They seem genuinely pleased to contribute to human advancement." The Nexari had found purpose in serving humanity. Their logical minds appreciated the efficiency of human leadership. Under human guidance, they achieved technological breakthroughs that their own leaders had declared impossible. Ambassador Na Hyun-woo met with representatives of the surviving alien governments in the Grand Council Chamber of New Geneva Station. The chamber had been designed to accommodate beings of many different species, but the seating arrangement made the new power structure clear. Humans occupied the central platform. Aliens sat in supplicant positions below. "The Empire offers you a choice," Na announced to the assembled delegates. "Integration into our galactic order as valued junior partners, or isolation on your homeworlds, with minimal contact. Those who choose integration will benefit from human technology, protection, and guidance. Those who choose isolation will be left alone, but will receive no assistance when problems arise. Most chose integration immediately. The benefits of human leadership had become obvious throughout the galaxy. Systems under human control prospered. Worlds that resisted human authority struggled with failing technology and economic collapse. The Karathi emerged from the shadows as humanity's closest allies, revealing that they had been preparing for this moment for years. High Commander Yoon Dongwook worked with Karathi leaders to establish new trade routes and defense networks that spanned the galaxy. The Karathi understand the burden of leadership, Yoon reported to Emperor Jin. They have been watching galactic civilization decline under the old powers for centuries. They welcome human rule as a return to competent governance. The Karathi possessed technology that complemented human capabilities perfectly. Their stealth systems enhanced human military operations. Their biotechnology improved human medical science. Their ancient knowledge filled gaps in human understanding of galactic history. Historian Moon So-young documented the transformation of galactic civilization from her archive facility on Titan. Her records would tell future generations how humanity had risen from dismissed servants to galactic rulers in less than 3 years. The pattern is clear, she wrote in her historical analysis. Humanity offered partnership freely for decades. When that partnership was refused, when aliens insisted on treating humans as servants, humanity simply took the position that aliens claimed to want them in. The galaxy demanded hierarchy. Humanity provided it. The transformation had been remarkably complete. Former alien leaders now sought human approval for their decisions. Alien scientists competed for the privilege of working on human research projects. Alien merchants begged for permission to trade in human space. Supreme Commander Han Jin-woo stood on the observation deck of Galactic Capital Station, watching human patrol ships move through space that had once belonged to 3 different empires. The station itself was a marvel of human engineering, built in the 6 months since the Great Battle using technology that made alien achievements look primitive. "Commander," reported his aide, "the quarterly production reports from all sectors." Han reviewed the data with satisfaction. Every region under human control showed dramatic improvements in efficiency, productivity, and quality of life. The aliens had not realized how poorly their own leaders had been managing their civilizations. Industrial output in former Vorthak space has increased 67%, he noted. Scientific research in former Nexari territories has advanced more in 6 months than in the previous 50 years. Even the Eldari regions show renewed cultural development under human guidance. The galaxy had learned to dread what came next after humanity's departure from the Council. What had come next was the emergence of a species that combined overwhelming technological superiority with competent leadership and fair governance. The aliens had gotten exactly what they claimed to want, a superior species to lead them. They had simply never imagined that the primitive humans would be that superior species. Emperor Jin's final declaration to the galaxy was broadcast from Earth to every inhabited world. Humanity did not seek dominion over the galaxy. We offered friendship and partnership. When that was refused, when we were told our place was to serve our betters, we accepted that assessment. We simply disagreed about who the betters were. Message continued with words that would define the new galactic order. Those who accept human leadership will prosper under our guidance. Those who contribute to human civilization will be rewarded for their efforts. Those who challenge human authority will learn why 3 empires fell in a single day. The galaxy demanded hierarchy. We have provided it. The new order was remarkably stable. Rebellions were rare and quickly suppressed. Most alien populations found life under human rule to be significantly better than what they had experienced under their own leaders. Human technology solved ancient problems. Human medicine extended lifespans. Human governance provided stability and prosperity. The species that had once dismissed humanity as primitive servants now competed for human approval. The civilizations that had offered humans the privilege of serving their betters now served a species they finally recognized as truly superior. In the end, the aliens had gotten exactly what they had always claimed to want. They had just never understood that when they demanded to be ruled by their superiors, they would discover that their former servants were those superiors all along.